Good evening.
Good evening, Zach.
What's up, John?
Oh, that was my Kanye West impression. Could you tell?
I kind of could.
Nice.
Yeah. It translated well.
Feels like he needs to be honored this week.
He does, yeah. We need to shout him out.
How you doing, man? You came back from New York?
Yeah. I was in New Jersey, New York last week, visiting family, visiting my mom, seeing some friends.
Eating pizza?
Eating pizza, lots and lots of motherfucking pizza, which was awesome.
Watching football?
I did. I went to a game and watched lots of football on that Sunday. I went to the Monday night game with the New York Jets, where they didn't score a fucking point, but
they,
excuse me, but the tailgating.
Still had fun, right?
Yeah, it's all about the tailgating and, drinking alcohol, smoking marijuana, listening to music, enjoying, all the awesomeness with your friends. And my friend made these wings. That was that was really good.
Oh, awesome. Were they like just buffalo wings?
Yeah, he made some sauce I didn't bother fucking with because I actually just had pizza.
Oh, okay.
Earlier. I had like 4 fucking slices, which were amazing.
So you're saying you had the wings but no sauce with it?
Yeah, I just had like 1 or 2 just to kind of cushion more of the booze. I'm not really a big drinker. I'm more of a smoker. So, but it was cool. I had some Jameson, which was good, and we just sort of hung out. I mean, the best part of any concert, the best part of any sporting event usually is the time spent with your friends. If you do indeed go with with friends, which is very typical, especially with sporting events. And doing the fucking tailgating. It's just fun, man. Even if you don't drink and smoke, and there's all kinds of food usually. People that throwing the football or playing music, and it's just like a chill environment. And it's cool. You see people with all the same jersey, and that was kind of nice seeing all the Jets jerseys and all the Jets swag and everything. It's kind of like very familiar. Kind of. I mean, it's home.
That's awesome, dude. Well, glad to have you physically back.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
And emotionally, you never left me.
Yeah. Good.
Cool, man. Well, I apologize. I jumped the gun before you're able to talk about what the name of the show is, what our agenda is.
Nah, hey, dude, it's all good,
I was just jumping straight into your personal life.
Yeah, and I'm cool with it, man. We don't have to be perfect. There's no set way to do the Fantasy Football Pizzeria podcast. We're at a pizzeria pretty much. Even if we're not physically there, we're mentally there, or spiritually there.
Yeah.
And that's just the idea about this podcast is we're just, here to sort of be more of a casual feel. Definitely have our breakdowns and agenda and everything. But, so yeah, I'm cool with it, man.
I appreciate you accepting me as I am.
I dig it.
Yeah.
Well, cool. So, as I just said, this is the Fantasy Football Pizzeria podcast. Welcome back. If you have listened before, thank you again. If you are listening for the first time, thank you as well. And just thank you for letting me thank you. It means a lot. And just to let you know, we're gonna do all the fun shit that we've gone into prior. Excuse moi. We're gonna go over the news of the day. We're going to give you our Pepperoni and Pineapple of the week. Go over a little bit of who you should play. Go over, some of the starts. Give a pizza review. I'm actually doing a pizzeria that I went to back east. That was fucking awesome. Just a little preview there. And then we're going to do the top 5. And then we're going to finish it up with the song of the week just to kind of end it on just sort of a chill note. So just to give you guys the breakdown of our show today. So, pretty excited.
Awesome, dude. Let's get into the news. This is the news. News! So starting off, man, we got Adam Thielen. He was limited in Wednesday's practice. He's been gone for a while. He's a guy that I wanted in multiple leagues, wasn't able to draft. And before Antonio Brown's release of the Patriots, I had tried to trade Antonio Brown for Thielen. Wasn't able to do it. But in any case, a lot of people, I'm sure excited to hopefully see him back. Do you think he's going to make it back this week?
I think so. It looks like. I mean, Wednesday, is pretty not significant when it comes to practicing. So if he's involved at all, which is usually like a day where they're just chilling, that's definitely a good sign. And he'll be definitely exciting to have back.
Yeah, he's like one of my favorite players to watch, just in the NFL in general, but also for fantasy. He's a wide receiver for the Vikings, and Stephon Diggs has been doing really well in his absence in terms of getting a lot of yardage. Do you think that Diggs is going to be affected negatively when he comes back, or is he still going to be a pretty solid play?
Yeah, I mean, Diggs can definitely he can do a lot with a little when it comes to that offense. So I think even with with Adam Thielen being back, I don't think it's going to hurt him too much, to be honest with you, as far as how that offense seems to be running.
And Kirk Cousins, he's not playing in prime time, so he should have a better game.
Yeah, props to Kirk Cousins over the past couple of weeks. He's been one of the top quarterbacks, definitely a quarterback one. Didn't do so well this last week on fucking Thursday night, but fucking Thursday night, you know what I'm saying?
From a fantasy perspective, from like a quarterback perspective, he was pretty good.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Sure.
Yeah. He just didn't have those touchdowns that really amps up your fantasy score, but he was pretty high in his completion percentage and looked good during the game. And I know this is about Thielen, but Diggs, I'm kind of excited to see where he goes. He was a player like kind of early on in his career. I remember seeing him play a game. I don't remember who they were playing, but he was just tearing up the defense, and I was like, man, this guy looks like Antonio Brown from just a player like production perspective. He was grabbing all kinds of balls, tons of balls that he was just kept
grabbing balls. Yeah,
and I was like, this is a player I enjoy to watch grab those balls. And he kind of dropped off a little bit after that. He, in terms of like, because I really thought at that moment, I was like, this guy could be the next Antonio Brown. And at least from a fantasy and production perspective, didn't see it quite as much, but it seems like he's been picking it back up again. So I think he's definitely a guy that still hasn't lived up to his potential from a consistency basis. So I'm excited to see if his good numbers that he's had recently will continue. But moving on to Davante Adams, he was a number one drafted receiver in most leagues. He's been missing for multiple weeks, and reportedly, he's still day to day, and he's running faster at Wednesday's practice than he was last week. I know that previously they were kind of talking about a week 10 and return, but now they're saying potentially week 9 against the Chargers this week is questionable. Do you think he's going to play?
I don't think he's going to play. I think when it comes to that turf toe and how well they've been playing, I don't know that it's necessary, which is a testament to how well that offense has been playing with Aaron Jones, fucking Jamal Williams, Aaron Lizard, but definitely something to monitor. I mean, shit, he's had a lot of time off, but with those toes, those fucking things linger. So you really have to keep an eye on him. I mean, I knew he wasn't going to play on Sunday. It was just annoying that it wasn't declared until the very fucking end. So you, like myself, I couldn't move him to my IR spot because the eligibility wasn't changed from a doubtful player to an ineligible player, which is huge in most of our ESPN. I mean, even, I think any league that deals with an IR spot. So something to definitely keep an eye on. I think Adam Thielen's more in line to play, whereas Davante Adams is something you want to really monitor as the week goes on.
And just strategically from a team perspective, forcing him back early against the Chargers is probably not necessary.
Yeah, probably not. I don't think it's, the toughest matchup. I'd have to probably look a little bit more into it. But when it comes to an injury like this and how well they've been playing, I don't think it's as crucial as it would otherwise be.
Awesome, man. Well, let's talk about our pepperoni of the week.
Let's do it.
Pepperoni.
Man, that engine was starting.
Yeah, that's my favorite part, bro.
Pepperoni, awesome player of the week. Someone who did really well that you appreciate. And we're doing it a little bit different this week compared to other weeks. Rather than each of us choose one, we're just going to unify together with one pepperoni and one pineapple. So who is the pepperoni of this week, Zach?
So the pepperoni of this week, which is also the pepperoni of week 8, is Latavius Murray, running back for the New Orleans Saints. He was 21 for 102 yards and 1 touchdown. In passing, he was 9 receptions for 55 yards and 1 touchdown. It was great. It's fucking awesome when you have a player that should fit right in when the starter is injured, based on the team, based on the talent, and it works out. I mean, he got so many fucking touches, and to be used that often is He's awesome. I mean, just especially if you held on to him. He was someone that I personally drafted in almost all my leagues, so he was not on any waiver wires. I was fortunate enough not to need that roster spot that much, where I needed to drop Latavius Murray. But
That was a really good call on you, dude, because it was a tough, I think, sell for some people, at least during the draft. And even just a couple weeks ago, it's kind of cool. We had talked about this earlier, but we before he had filled in for Kamara, we were talking about who you should keep and who you should drop on one of your teams, and Murray was on there, and we had talked about, if Kamara goes out, he has just so high upside versus like Adrian Peterson or another player like that, and so it's cool to see him fulfill it and really play well.
Yeah, dude, I totally agree, man. I just mentioned I had him in all those leagues. I was able to hold on to him, and then just that with the offense and just everything that I mentioned earlier. I mean, guys get injured. It fucking sucks, but if you're gonna get someone who's on a high powered offense, and if he did fit the Mark Ingram role where they were very productive. I think they finished. I think like the past 5 years, 1 or 2 when it comes to running back. I'd have to follow up on this stat, but they like finished first or second overall when it comes to like their like numbers or
like yards or fantasy points or something?
Yeah, and I mean, rightfully so. The proof is in the pudding with how that offense runs. So it was good to see that he played so well. Hopefully, we can see some more involvement with Alvin Kamara coming back after the bye week. But still, Alvin Kamara is still the pimp daddy. There is no question about that.
Yeah, he's got so much talent.
Yeah.
But Murray, I mean, even did really well the week before too. So it's multiple weeks in a row, and I think it's kind of cool too that we saw good production with both Teddy Bridgewater as well as Drew Brees. So it's not like they were relying more on the run with Teddy Bridgewater, because even though he's good, he's no Drew Brees. He was still played really well with either quarterback and either system.
So hold on to Latavius motherfucking Murray, or sell that motherfucker right away.
Yeah, now's the
Sell
time.
him
Right?
even though it's bye week and all that shit. But no, I'd just hold on to him. If you have the extra bench space and you're not really tight, and you have to absolutely move him. But yeah, he's definitely a hold. Great player.
Awesome, man. Let's get into our pineapple.
Pineapple. Ooh, yeah.
Oh, that engine couldn't start.
So fitting.
Yeah. So pineapple is the crappy player of the week, someone who's disappointing. And this might be a sore spot, but this week it's Le'Veon Bell.
It is Le'Veon Bell. I mean, it was 8 for 23, 0 touchdowns, 3 for 12 in the receiving for 0 touchdowns. I mean, seriously, I more blame Adam Gase sucking so much. I mean, the New York Jets suck too, but if you give a guy 8 fucking touches against the Jacksonville Jaguars, what the fuck else is gonna happen? So it is Lev Bell because he is the player that you're starting. You're not starting fucking Adam Gase, motherfucker. But yeah, I hate to do it, but I don't want to just not choose one of my Jet players when he's
we were looking through and seeing if anything else really stood out, and we had certainly there were players that didn't do well, but they weren't exactly surprises that they didn't do well.
Yeah.
And I think definitely, especially since we had drafted Le'Veon Bell in our dynasty league together that we're co-owners for, I think we had hoped for better numbers overall to this point. And I know the game you saw was the Jets versus the Patriots, and the Patriots defense has just been overwhelming this year. But since you got to see Bell in person, I think does he look good to you? You still feel it's more of the coaching in terms of why his numbers haven't been higher?
I definitely think it is more of the coaching. I mean, it's such a shitty offensive line, but in that game, they played the Patriots. Nothing looked good, honestly, dude. Everything looked like shit in that game. The Patriots just fucking were awesome on all sides of the ball.
And I get it if you're behind or whatever, but only getting 8 carries for a starting running back of his caliber is pretty tough.
Against the fucking Jaguars, it wasn't like it was like they were super
high
down
scoring,
or
like 50 points.
Exactly, dude. So I'm like, wait a minute, what the fuck? So this week it is going to be Le'Veon Bell.
All right, let's get into our next section of Who Should I Play? Who should I play? Ha ha ha! Forgot the Mickey Mouse.
I think that's my least favorite part, honestly. I fucking actually hate that. I used to work with this dude who would, I guess he thought he was so good at doing that, so he would bust it out so much. And it's just so whack. I'm like, dude, anyone can make that
It's
fucking...
an interesting thing to be proud of.
Yeah, you could tell that he was, though, because he would just use it so much, and I'd be sitting there and, like, I would hear him in the background. I'm like, oh, this guy sucks ass. But, hey, you know, it's all good. I like the cat at the end, and, you know, we can always, we can hit edit, know what I mean?
Cool, man. Well, I got us 3 players to talk about of who should I play this week. First one, I find pretty interesting, which is Lamar Jackson, Baltimore quarterback, versus the New England Patriots. We talked about it earlier, and we talked about it in previous podcasts. As I'm sure a lot of fantasy football podcasts have talked about just how dominant the Patriots defense has been this year. And, you know, the Ravens are coming off a bye week. Jackson's been pretty productive overall. He's had, you know, definitely some ups and downs, but his floor is pretty high still, I feel. And how do you feel about him against the Patriots? Do you feel good about playing him, or should you pick up someone on the flyer like a Kirk Cousins or like a Josh Allen?
Definitely got to play him. You know, yeah. You know, I wouldn't be afraid of the Patriots defense. It's a Sunday night game. They're playing in Baltimore, and you have to play him. I mean, seriously, it doesn't matter, and you know how that game's gonna turn out, whether they're up, whether they're down. You know, I know they have such a great defense, but with a player like Lamar Jackson, there's no way that you're not playing him, even if you have a Matt Stafford, who I think is playing like either Philly or the Raiders or some shit, and which is a much playing the Oakland Raiders, which is a much easier matchup.
You still feel better about playing Jackson?
I do, because of his rushing upside. Just, you know, they're just coming off of the bye week. You know,
the Patriots may have everyone covered, so he's going to run a lot possibly.
Yeah, I think this is probably going to be the best time for them to play the Patriots coming off a bye, playing at home.
After a bye.
Yeah, and you know that's an offense that can definitely put it together. So you know, I wouldn't be as cautious normally as you would maybe want to be with the Patriots defense.
Right. Cool, man. Well, next player is Kenyan Drake, and here we go. He came from the Dolphins. Didn't play last week, so he basically got a free bye week, and is now with the Arizona Cardinals, and they have some injuries at their running back position. But he is against the 49ers defense and a brand new team. How do you feel about him playing this week?
You know, I'm a little nervous about him playing, to be honest with you. I read something today that the coach wants to do a committee approach with motherfucking Alfred Morris, shout out Alfred Morris, and Zach Zenner. Yeah. Which is awesome, because my name is Zach Zucardi, and people always think my last name is Zucardi. They just go with the Z. They go Z fucking crazy. And this is actually a Zach Zenner, so he is a double Z, so shout out to the alliteration.
Yeah. What about if your name isn't, close to his?
If your name isn't close to his? What do you mean?
Well, you said he's cool because his name is close to yours.
Yeah.
But what about some of our listeners out there where his name is not similar to theirs?
He's still cool. He's a white running back. I mean, that's like pretty like rare, you know?
Yeah. Rex Burkhead.
Yeah. Shout out to Rex Burkhead. But
trying to think of another one right now.
Christian McCaffrey, bro.
Oh yeah.
Fucking,
how can I forget him?
One of the Watts on I think he's more of a fullback on the Chargers.
Yeah.
But no, this one I'd kind of pump the brakes with, just because 49ers defense.
They've been really good.
Yeah, they have been really good. I mean, it's a division game. Although if you absolutely needed to, I would look maybe
possible flex.
Yeah, just because of, I mean, he's a solid pass catcher, and with I don't think Johnson's going to play at all. He was almost talked about on Sunday that like he ain't playing on Thursday, so it's all good. Edmonds is already out. Yeah. I don't think that they're gonna risk it, to be honest with you. They'd be stupid. And also, I wouldn't even look to like play him, because he's if he does play, it's probably gonna be fucking very minimal usage, So I honestly wouldn't trust it. So at best, Kenyan Drake would be a flex player, but I would definitely look elsewhere this week.
So on one team, I have Kenyan Drake, and I have Robert Woods. Who should I put in that flex spot?
Robert Woods, 10 out of 10 times. Yeah, I have a hard time comparing both those guys because he's on such a good offense, man. And like he's used even in these like jet sweep plays and shit where he gets handed off the ball and shit. He's and with Brandon Cooks being injured and shit, yeah. Robert, like it would be hard for me to ever bench him, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and Jared Goff, even after having that horrible week a couple weeks ago with less than 100 passing yards, checked recently, and he's now leading the league in passing yards. So that surprised me.
That's super surprising. Yeah, I was gonna say like, yeah, I'd be careful with him. I'd kind of, make sure the matchup makes sense and et cetera, et cetera.
Cool. Our final, who should I play? We got Jarvis Landry at the Vikings. I contemplated it quite a bit, and I ended up playing Jarvis Landry last week, despite them playing the Patriots. And my rationale around that was, all right, they're going to try to take out Odell Beckham, since that's, the cliche Belichick thing, take out the most talented player. And they'll probably avoid giving up big plays, the Patriots defense, that is. And they'll probably just do short dump-off passes to Landry. So, yeah, he ended up with a decent fantasy game last week. Vikings defense has also been pretty good this year. How do you feel about him against the Vikings?
Again, I would pump the brakes with him as well. I would hesitate. I would say, I'm not ready to order. Give me 1 minute, please. And they'd say, sure. Or they'd be rude or something based on the pizzeria that you went to.
Yeah.
But sometimes if they're rude, it doesn't mean the pizza isn't good.
No, yeah. And
keep that in mind.
And sometimes rudeness is pretty efficient.
Yeah. Sometimes rudeness comes with a lot of accolades because they have the fucking, the fucking most delicious in town.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I was in New York and I went to a pizza place, got a slice. They were pretty rude to me, but I was like, hey, the pizza's good. And that was a much faster transaction than if we'd used a lot of pleasantries, so I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
And it was a cheap slice of pizza and it was delicious. So
fuck yeah, man. Win-win. Yeah. That's a fucking solid win right there.
Speaking of pizza, let's get into our extra special New York edition of the Pizza Review.
Pizza Review!
Your face lit up with the. I do have the volume pretty high on our
headphones.
Yeah,
that's all it is.
Is it too loud?
No, it was for me just because I have like Sensi ears and those like.
Should I turn down your headphones?
It's all good.
It's all good.
Yeah.
It's past.
Yeah, because I like hearing me more. Yeah. So that's awesome. No, but that's I like that drop, but it just has a lot of yelling and like louder sounds, which are real cool. I just have older ears because I play drums and go to punk shows and all that bullshit when I was a kid. So
we could just do Mickey Mouse versions of every drop.
Hell no, dude. Mickey Mouse. I'm more Minnie than I am Mickey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're effing goofy.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I'm more Donald Duck too. Shout out Donald Duck. Even though I'm not into birds.
No.
But that's for another time. I can get
that's
into
a deep
kind of
thing. Yeah.
Yeah. It kind of has some weird backstory to it.
Birds.
So. Ultimately, I was in New Jersey last week, so I had pizza there many, many times, and we decided that I would do the pizza review this week solely where, since I was in Jersey, you gotta, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When in Rome, know what I mean?
Yeah, when in Rome, crucify Jesus.
Yeah, yeah. So I went to this place that I've gone to, like, from when I was a kid, probably like 5 years old. It's called Original Italian Pizza. It's in Washington Township, New Jersey, the Bergen County, Washington Township. Believe it or not, there's multiple Washington Townships in the state of New Jersey. So this is the one in Bergen County. It also goes by OIP. You can call it just by Originals. And it's one of the best. They're really cool. I've known them forever. They greet me by first name and talk to me about living here in New Mexico. So really, really kind of a really cool vibe, makes me feel like, hey, wow, yeah, I used to live here.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah, I remember a while ago at your house, I believe you had one of their menus on the table at your house or something, and I noticed it, and there's something magical about just that OIP on there.
Yeah, I didn't know it as that as a kid. They just sort of adopted that, like, here in the last maybe 10 years or something, but it's cool and it works. And every time I went there, I got two plain slices.
Wow.
Yeah, because the pizza's so fucking good, man.
Don't need any toppings.
You don't need any toppings.
That says a lot.
Especially not like being there and being here in New Mexico and not having access to that delicious Jersey, New York pizza. I was like, I just wanted to taste every flavor. Toppings are delicious, but it was just so good, man, that I was so like, all right, this is an easy decision.
So you've had this pizza several times throughout the years. Have you gotten toppings in the past?
I have. I gotten pepperoni. They even have fucking broccoli. Shout out to them. They have broccoli.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are they the ones that got you into broccoli on
They
pizza?
are not.
Okay.
I'd say I got into it more when I was out here in New Mexico. Just trying different things, trying to check out different toppings, get not too creative, but just try to, see what's out there topping wise that I would actually fuck with.
What pizza place was the first place that you had broccoli on pizza? Do you remember?
That's a good question. I don't. So there's one here in town in Albuquerque called Saggio's, and I've gotten broccoli on the pizza there, which is really good. Mm-hmm. It's not a whole lot, and I usually get it with pepperoni, black olives. So it has a really good mix and a really good texture. So a lot of people think broccoli, oh, that's fucking totally gross or whatever. But believe it or not, smaller broccoli pieces with that texture, with the sauce, the cheese, it's a fucking great combo.
Awesome, dude. All right. And you have a player comparison, or you talked about the toppings and I think the cheese.
Yeah, so just to kind of break down the anatomy of this slice, ultimately is the toppings nothing. So because it's so fucking delicious. Extra sauce, nah. Well done, nah. I don't need to ask them how to make it or say, oh, could you do this or that?
They do it right.
Which is the best fucking part, man. The best part. Like, I just have to say 2 slices, please, and that's it.
That's it.
That's it. And not to say that, like, you can't say what you want and whatever. It doesn't mean the pizza's necessarily bad, but just something that I love. Even coming here, I would order, can I have 2 slices? And they would ask, what do you want on it? And just 2 regular slices. And they would say cheese. I'm like, well, yeah, cheese. And that was always sort of weird to me to say 2 cheese slices.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Never seen you do that.
Yeah. It's just not in my, like,
There's probably nowhere
vocab.
else that you would do that. Or is there?
I don't know. I don't recall.
At least probably no place in New Mexico.
Yeah. But, so with this place, it was just sort of nice, just very, like, very home,
Awesome.
Yeah, it was a good symbol of home. And, again, the cheese was fucking amazing, dude. Excuse me. It was so amazing. So much flavor, like just the right amount. The sauce was sweet and savory, just over, like, just such a great combination. I mean, seriously, I would get 2 slices at a time, and I wound up usually every visit eating 4 fucking slices. So good. So fucking good. My player comparison for this would be CMC, which is Christian McCaffrey. He's a running back for the Carolina Panthers.
Dang, he's been killing it.
He's amazing. He's a stud.
Yeah.
He's a fucking alpha, dude. He's such a fucking stud. Love him, man. And honestly, it doesn't get much better than Christian McCaffrey in fantasy football. It just doesn't. Look this motherfucker up if you're listening and you don't know shit about fantasy. He's fucking awesome. And obviously, if you do, then you know that this pizza comparison is right the fuck on. So fucking good. Easy.
That's awesome, dude.
Dude, yeah.
So with this pizza, is it a pretty thin crust? Is it pretty crispy? Or would you say it's more floppy?
I'd say they have a great, I mean, it just...
A little bit in between?
Yeah, it is a real good mix. I've not, in my whole, like, week being there, many times that I've had slices there, I've not gotten one that was either too crispy or not cooked enough or anything. And there was
Have you ever had a slice that's too crispy? I feel like you haven't.
I have, yeah. I mean,
based off of your
whether it's my own doing,
cooking.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe that's the only way.
Whether it's
when you overdid it.
I'm just like, fuck it, it's still pizza, but this is like, definitely not the preference. But it's really just one of the best pizza places in all of the tri-state area. That's fucking Connecticut, New York, and New Jersey. Just so fucking so good. So if you're ever visiting New York City, it's about a half hour from New York City, and it's so fucking worth it. I'll put links somewhere. I'll get info out there for you guys. I think they have Instagram, and all that good shit. So check it out.
Awesome, dude. All right, well, let's get into our top 5. Top 5. All right, so we're getting to our top 5 offensive players of the week. Let's start with the number 1 quarterback, who makes me feel good about a decision I made because I played him in one of my leagues, despite him not having the greatest potential. But that's Daniel Jones. He led with 30.2 fantasy points, 4 touchdowns, over 300 yards passing. I was happy about that. I don't have a ton of faith that we can expect that kind of stuff every week from him, but in any case, it came out good. You got anything to say about Daniel Jones, Zach?
Yeah, that's really. I was happy to see that. It wasn't probably the best game for the actual team and statistically, but fantasy wise, he did awesome. 30 fucking points, half PPR.
Yeah, and going to our second player, running back, we have another Jones, Aaron Jones, tore it up especially in the passing game. Had 159 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns, and that was on top of 67 rushing yards for a total of 38.1 fantasy points. Zach, early on, even when Jones was having pretty low yardage, you were saying he's a must-play every week, and he's proving it here again, and he's just been killing it this year. I had high hopes for him because I drafted him in a couple of leagues, but he has definitely surpassed that for me.
Yeah, I was happy to see that. I lost because of him, to be honest with you, and I don't own any shares of him this year in any of my leagues. However, I'm happy to see he's doing so well. I mean, shit, they are a really good offense when they can put it together. So that he's producing so well and had such a good game last week. I was really happy to see that.
And I'll have to double check, but I'm pretty sure he's leading that team in receiving yards, even though he's a
no shit, really.
I believe
great
so.
Great stat.
I mean, not that Geronimo Allison is posing much threat for him, and Davante Adams has been hurt a lot, but still, any running back on a team other than Christian McCaffrey leading in receiving yards is pretty impressive.
Yeah, hell yeah, that's an awesome stat.
All right, for our wide receiver of the week, we got another Jones. Just kidding.
I was like, damn, Julio, what's up?
That would have been cool, but
that
no.
Would have been cool, yeah.
It's our flip-flop dude who's did really well again this week, Mike Evans. I say that because he's had a couple games this year where he gets like 0 points or 1 point, but he got 198 yards after he was 11 receptions, 12 targets, and 2 touchdowns. So it's high catch percentage. It's a whenever you get into double-digit receptions and multiple touchdowns, it's hard to ask for more. You got 37.3 fantasy points this week.
Yeah, it was a Mike Evans week. It wasn't a Chris Godwin week. Happy to see, though, that there is still this kind of production. I don't own any Mike Evans, same as Aaron Jones, but it's, when I kept seeing his points go up throughout the day, and then they would show on the bottom of the screen on the red zone all the leaders for each position. Seeing him, it was doesn't surprise me at all.
Right.
I was just hoping I wasn't playing against them. And the ones that I lost in, I honestly, other than knowing I played against Aaron Jones, I didn't bother looking. I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? Whatever.
Yeah,
it's all good.
I totally have, my own strategies in terms of looking at
scores
move
on.
Or not.
It's all good.
Maximize happiness.
Yeah. Maximize happiness. Hell yeah.
Especially when you're in multiple leagues.
Hell yeah. Yep.
Cool, man. Well, our the top tight end of this week, which I'll say kind of in general, felt like a pretty weak or low bar for tight ends this week in terms of fantasy points. And I'd say overall the season, it doesn't feel like it's been as dominant as years past with Travis Kelce and Zach Ertz and these tight ends that were putting up crazy numbers. It felt like every week. But this week we got Darren Fells, who had 6 receptions, 58 yards, the big number, 2 touchdowns. So still got very solid, more than solid, awesome 20.8 points. But it's just kind of interesting to me the way the tight end position has been overall this year. Do you feel that way too?
Definitely, man. Tight end is always such a hard one to predict, and I always seem to have this bizarre kind of a luck with it.
Good luck with it?
Nah, well,
or bad luck, or both?
Both.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually when I pick them early on, they have injuries like Greg Olsen did a couple years ago, and I just get burned. And then I go, fuck that position. And then I get lucky like last year with getting Eric Ebron off of
Dude, he was awesome last
year. Got him off of waivers. This year, I did pretty good with Austin Hooper, Darren Waller.
Dude, Hooper.
Yeah.
For where you got him.
Oh, exactly, awesome. Dude. I mean, I don't have him in one of my leagues, but still very, very pleased with him. But yeah, I mean, if you look at the other tight ends behind him, Ryan fucking Griffin from the New York Jets, get the hell out of here, man. And then after that, Jonnu Smith, which it was a good matchup with him. But those are three names that, I mean, come on. You know,
Yeah,
any
it's like-
other position, you're really not going to see that fucking, you know, like such a diverse, like, you know, week to week kind of numbers and names. Ryan Griffin, get the fuck out of here.
And I'm just kind of like quickly scaling over all the tight ends. It doesn't look like any of the top 50 tight ends I'm looking at here, not a single one of them broke over 100 yards receiving. So that's just surprising to me because I'd have to compare it to years past, but it felt like there's always multiple tight ends every week that broke over 100. So in any case, it's just a little bit of a bummer to me because almost every year, bro, in fantasy leagues in the past, I would wait until almost my last pick to get a tight end, and I'd get one, and then I would just stream the other ones.
Smart.
But this year, in a couple of leagues, I didn't do it in all of them. I was like, you know what? I'm going to roll the dice. I'm going to draft Hunter Henry. I'm going to get Zach Ertz. I'm going to get Kittle. Kittle, I've still been pretty happy with overall.
Yeah, hell yeah.
But it's just interesting seeing this trend, and we'll see if it continues.
Yeah, tight ends are always such a motherfucker, so don't go wasting any early draft capital on them. I mean, even with Hunter Henry, I was going to grab that motherfucker early. Glad that I, at least for that league, missed out. He's an awesome player.
I wish I had, but he got hurt early, and then I needed
who
it.
knows
so
with injuries.
Yeah, and he could, have an awesome game like he did against the Steelers where he gets a couple touchdowns, does awesome, and then next week he get you 7 yards.
It still sucks, because it's an injury, but and you can't plan for him. But I mean, shit, yeah, the top 12 tight ends.
Yeah.
Currently, you're like, what?
Cool. And last of our top 5, the defense is unfortunately once again the New England Patriots. They got 17 points. I kind of don't care about them in any way, shape, or form as humans or as football players. But I got to give them props. They've been pretty consistent all year, and it's been devastating to teams that they're playing against, as well as if you're playing against them in fantasy leagues. You could. I've seen some scoreboards of people that did better in every position except for the defense, and that was enough for them to lose games. But if you got them, you gotta love them.
Yeah, I don't have them at all, and honestly, I've definitely lost because of them playing against them, and it's cool. It's cool that a defense is playing so well where they're an obvious start. It's kind of nice to actually see. I mean, it sucks it's the Patriots, but dude, I saw something on Twitter recently where they have more touchdowns than some of the players that we drafted within the top 3 fucking rounds. So
Probably Kenyan Drake.
Yeah, well,
Probably,
I mean, come on.
Probably Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, I have to find it. I'll try to retweet it, but I thought it was just very, very telling. But yeah, defenses, if you're still playing with defense and you have New England, then props to you.
Awesome, man. Well, let's get into our final segment, the Song of the Week.
Song of the Week.
And we got 2 special songs of the week for you this week. And that is because we saw both these bands in person, individually.
Yeah.
Not together.
Yes.
But in person.
Yes.
So what band did you see and what song did you choose, Zach?
So I was fortunate enough to see Misfits play Madison Square Garden last week. And the song I chose was one of their songs called Bullet. It's an awesome song. It's one of the first songs I heard from them that was very punk rock, very fast as a drummer, as a punk rock drummer. It was just something that really grabbed me right away. The lyrics are a lot about Kennedy and the assassination, and it's just so damn catchy. Just such a fun fucking song, and just has a lot of balls behind it. And with it being Halloween, it's such a Misfits holiday. If you know anything about Misfits, it's they're all about Halloween, and it's very much that horror theme. But it's just such a cool thing that they back in the late 70s, that they mixed it with punk rock, and it actually wasn't cheesy, and something that was very much embraced within punk and with hardcore punk. So I chose Misfits Bullet, and I'm very, very happy to share it this week.
That's awesome, dude. And just makes me think of our current culture and stuff. If someone were to write a song about someone being assassinated, or I wonder the timing. I know like Kennedy was 63. He wasn't 63. It was 1963 when he did it. And the Misfits song, I believe, according to my Google machine, says it came out in 78. I don't know if enough time had passed where people were okay with it. Do you know, was that song controversial when they had released it?
I honestly don't know. I would imagine somewhat, because the cover of the 7-inch has Kennedy waving, and there's like a blood splatter.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And as a kid getting into punk rock, I knew it was political, and it kind of had that vibe going to it, but it also was very Misfits like, because they have that, like, they sing about like horror and like older nostalgia stuff, kind of a thing going on with like Halloween. So some of the themes that like they talk about, even with, they have a song about Marilyn Monroe, and it's like kind of in that theme, and I think the singer Danzig's fascination with it. So I mean, if it's offensive, it's punk rock, it's supposed to be offensive, so that's fine with me. And it's such an awesome fucking song. I mean, really, dude, it's like, it's so with the hi-hat, it starts off with a really good close hi-hat, and then it ends with a ride cymbal.
No, it's cool, dude. I feel like today we're like, I don't know, with certain things where it feels like the culture is too sensitive about stuff, and like, so when you showed me the song and we were listening to it earlier, and I heard the Kennedy stuff, it was just cool to see someone that isn't afraid to push the envelope and do something. Fast forward to today, and like, people are pissed off that Kanye released an album that has Jesus in the name. So it's just kind of funny, the contrast of how times are changing.
Yeah, and I think people today would welcome a song about shooting, Trump.
Yeah, no problem. Go for it.
Yeah,
But
you know what I mean? Like, and
Jesus is King from Kanye, they're like, oh, don't play that. That's offensive.
yeah, don't mess with Jesus is King. But no, I honestly, this is such a great song, and I really like what you said about it, because it's all very true, and it all kind of adds to the feel of the song and makes it even more enjoyable.
And I'm sorry if you had mentioned it and I missed it. Did they play the song at the concert?
They did.
Okay, cool.
It was awesome. Yeah, they actually opened up with the song called "Death Comes Ripping," and they have the drummer from Slayer.
It's about farts, right?
It probably is about farts. Yeah,
Okay.
deadly farts. And
Halloween farts.
yeah, they had the drummer from Slayer, and it just sounded great, man. It was such a full sound in Madison Square Garden. Such a heavy fucking song.
Wow, Madison Square Garden. That's cool.
And it really translated. Like, it was like, damn, this is no garage punk shit, which they were still able to capture throughout their set. But as far as their opening song coming out with "Death Comes Ripping," it was great.
That's cool, dude. Well, my song of the week is from a band that probably most people don't know of, but they are called The Plot in You. And I've been listening to them for a couple of years, and just such a unique mix. Zach and I were listening a little bit to them earlier, and you'll have one song that has that's pretty chill, just pretty much straight melodies with like a saxophone that comes in, and then you'll hear another song that's like death metal almost in terms of their screams and the heavy guitar riffs. And the song I chose is called Feel Nothing, and it's kind of in between. It's mostly, it has like a soft verse and intro with keyboard and some cool electronic effects that with a cool melody and strong lyrics, and then it bursts out into a heavier chorus with some screaming and a keyboard melody that I like quite a bit. That kind of starts off with his voice, and then his voice, the keyboard, when it comes in heavy, the keyboard kind of takes over the melody that the voice was singing, and the singing turns into a scream. And so I don't know if that is clear, but when you hear it, it's just a really cool effect in the way that they did it that I really appreciate. So definitely a little bit of a listening curve if you're not into that kind of music, or even if you are, it's different in terms of how they mix things up. But I highly recommend you listening to their stuff, and can have some pretty harsh lyrics. This song is about feeling nothing towards someone, and So sometimes if you sing it and stare your wife in the eyes when you say it, she thinks you're saying it to her. So I'd highly recommend doing that.
Yeah. That's cool, man. I like that. I like that breakdown. That was cool.
Awesome, man. Well, that's our show. Why don't you close us out, talk about our socials, and we'll go into next week.
Awesome. Yeah, everyone, thanks so much for hanging out with us and listening. I hope you have an awesome Halloween. Social media, you can find me on Twitter at FFPizzaman and on Instagram at Fantasy Football Pizzeria. I'll say it again, on Instagram at Fantasy Football Pizzeria. And you can find John everywhere at Life Never Lost. And thanks again, everybody. And again, have a great Halloween. Hope it's awesome.
I love you, Zach.
I love you too, John.